Think again about that 200 plus foot diameter of refined gasoline. What is it worth? Is it worth $500,000 or $700,000 to extinguish that fire? Or would it be more economically feasible to let it burn and lose millions?
You want them to be pleased, but not thrilled. If you're thrilled, then I've left too much money on the table, and I will likely not stay in business. And if I don't stay in business, who loses? You know, ultimately, it's the oil company.
Refinery fire chiefs from around the country regularly count on Dwight and his team for backup.
It's very comforting to know that you can pick up a phone. You can talk through your problem. It could be a problem that you've never had before, but it's possibly they've had. So it's something that you can work through. And naturally, if things really start getting out of hand, they can be on the plane very quickly and be standing right next to you.
Anything we can do for you, I'll do it.
The fires that I've been involved with them, it's like, okay, let's get the people that need to make the decisions. Let's go in a room, let's get around a table, and let's see what we can do with this thing. And I think that's one of the things that makes him a leader.
We're not playing with cookies in an oven. We're playing with huge volumes of flammable liquids and flammable gases and poison gases. And what we have to do is we have to be mentally disciplined to do our job and to think about those hazards.
In the middle of chaos, he's cool as a cucumber. You have to be in that type of environment because people looking to you for help and guidance. He does not get flustered. He does not give the impression that he's scared. And that's a tremendous comfort to the people that he's assisting.
That's his main focus, on making sure that it's done right. I think he knows that his reputation's on the line, so why he takes his time and gets it done right.
While professionals with a reputation at stake, they are also a family about to be exposed to incredible risk.
If something catastrophic had happened here, while they were at a fire, if they happen to have an explosion or something to wipe out 4 or 5 of the firefighters, these aren't wiping out Joe, Bill, Bob, and Son. These are going to be the sons, the son-in-laws, the daddies. So, I mean, they got a lot to lose here. And I don't know that anyone would like to have to go to tell Ray Marie, his wife, hey, Dwight got killed in this fire today. Or to, you know, to Randy and say, hey, your son ain't coming home. He got killed in that fire today.
I could lose 2 men in my life, my brother and my son, at one time. And that's scary. But in the same token, if it happens, it's because that's what God willed. It's not because they did something wrong.
Ahead of the rest of the crew, Dwight, Chauncey, and firefighter Eric Laverne strike out for the refinery.
We're going through that in the truck and talking back and forth. What can we do? What can we do to make it better? We got one shot at this. We got one opportunity, and if we fail, like I said, there's never been a tank of that size even to catch fire.
Looking back, Williams firefighter Jerry Kraft had one fact in mind.
I think the largest prior to this particular tank was a 180-foot diameter tank that Williams Fire and Hazard Control successfully extinguished a few years back.
As night begins to fall, the Williams team approaches the refinery. In his 25 years of fighting fires, Glenn Durham has never seen anything like what awaited at Norco.
It was a very big fire. It was the kind of fire that does get your attention. And Jason's comments were, I won't tell you everything he said, but basically he thought it was 2 tanks. I said, no, it's not. I said, you gotta remember, this is a 270.
Refinery and municipal firefighters have been hosing and cooling the surrounding area all day, awaiting the arrival of Williams. The intensity of the radiating heat has ignited trees and threatens nearby tanks.
See, we got there about 6:30. We had to wait until all of this equipment could be moved with these cranes and positioned and hoses laid. We had to wait until about 30,000 gallons of foam got there.
As they prepare the gear, Dwight receives troubling news from Orion Fire Chief J.R. Chittister.
The tank itself started turning cherry red that you could see through. We were trying to cool it, but the tank started folding down on the back side, the north side of it. And we were doing everything possible to try to contain this thing.
There's a tendency to cool steel on a storage tank burning, and it really does very little good until you're ready to put it out. So that's a misgiving. That's a common practice in our industry. And it causes the steel to draw and pull in, and eventually it will tear.
If they wait too long, the folding metal could make their task far more difficult. Eventually, the tank could split and engulf the team in a wave of burning gasoline. Dwight needs a closer look at the enemy.
People say, "Where are you going, Dwight?" I said, "I'm going to go get acquainted with a fire." If you think of a fire as a living, breathing, angry dragon, you have to put the poison in the dragon's mouth to kill it. So you look for the mouth. You also look for what can hurt you. Where's the dragon's teeth or his tail that can take your people out or embarrass you, or both?
Once we got there, Dwight got everybody together, started giving different individuals different tasks, and he asked me to find out how much foam was on site. How much did we have there? How many gallons of it?
Getting foam trucks in position required some of the men to pass within 100 feet of the glowing tank.
When you drive past there and you got the windows rolled up in your truck and your PBIs are smoking from the heat, oh, you sweating.
Dwight's plan, attack with a mix of nearly 800,000 gallons, over 3 million liters of foam and water.
My job initially was to stage the guns. I was to put them in place. Dwight and I discussed it. Dwight told me basically where he wanted them.
My main role on the Orion fire was to handle the large, myself and Jerry Kraft, the large Bigfoot mont that we used.
Once we're set up and all the water was flowing and we knew we had the pressure and the volume we needed and the foam was ready to go, my job was simply to man that gun, one of 2 guns on the job, and just watch Dwight. Watch him work.
Dozens of refinery and municipal firefighters will be critical to any success in the coming hours. Manning the pumps and preparing the foam.
We had to get pumps to take suction. We had to get the pressure at the guns that was required to deliver it the distance to give us the foam runs we were looking for. And all of this is not done with a ruler inside the tank. We're looking at it from afar off, and we're imagining where things are landing and where the footprint is making its run and how far it is to everything. That's where the art comes in.
At 1 o'clock in the morning, everything is ready for the attack.
Nobody in the world had ever attempted to extinguish a tank that size. And what I told them is, I said, we're going to get one shot. We have the energy and the resources to try this one time, and one time only.
All right, let me tell you, fellas, all the damn work's done. We got a 270-foot storage tank on fire. This is what we come here to do, is put the damn thing out. Now we're into the talent, and any of you that...
By the light of the roaring fire, Dwight brings his team together one last time to confirm they are ready for the biggest battle of their careers.
People have to understand what their task is at exactly the moment that they're to perform. So you go back over it. It's a way also of kicking back out in your mind what's going to happen, because you're the taskmaster. You're orchestrating this band that has to hit the note at the right time.
Has anybody got any questions? Let's do what we come here to do. Let's go.
They will only have 65 minutes of foam to smother the fire completely. If a wisp of flame is left when the supply runs out, the fire will reignite and the tank could burn to the ground. It would be a failure that would haunt Dwight Williams for the rest of his life.
We had everything on the line that day. This was where the rubber really met the road.
He gave us a signal. We moved our monitor into the tank. Chauncey Naylor moved his monitor into the tank, and then we started our attack.
Once the firefight starts, the actual foam application starts, the phone lines pretty much go dead, and you sit and you wait. I mean, there's no sleep.
"12,000 gallons per minute of water and foam hurl skyward into the tank. Without aid to see into the tank, Dwight has to be guided by instinct. He can only hope the foam cover would successfully build in time.
Keep in mind, you're throwing it. It's landing. It's running up against the back wall, and it's coming back, extinguishing the fire.
With the clock ticking off minute by minute, the crew waits.
It took approximately 11 minutes, 12 minutes into this attack where we saw that we were starting to get flame collapse and getting a bite on the fire. And a real great feeling knowing that, say, hey, this is working.
Flame collapse is basically when it's burning with all of its authority, and it looks like somebody just jerked 2/3 of the authority of the fire out from under it. It just lays down all of a sudden, and you have a very small part of what was burning now burning.
So I walked to the back of the tank, and that's when I realized that that left side over is pretty well knocked down. I mean, things are working.
The high that you're riding, you got this great knockdown very fast, and you're feeling very good, and then 20 minutes later, it's still not extinguishing. You're going, oh Lord, it's just going to work.
All the odds were against us. More so than any other job that I think I personally have ever been on, whether they were right down the street or offshore 100 miles, the odds were against us on this one.
50 minutes into the attack, the foam supply was nearing empty, and the stubborn fire still surged. The threat of the entire tank reigniting loomed. Dwight's skill would now be put to the final test.
So we had a piece of fire about this big inside that tank. And we had to technique it out. I was getting a mental picture of what was going on in the tank. I was feathering the nozzle. I was everything that I could think of to put the application that would kill that ghost on that foam blanket. I was doing it. Chauncey was doctoring the nozzle just exactly like I wanted it done.
"13 long hours after lightning struck, the skies above Norco finally go black. History was made. The largest petroleum storage tank fire in the world finally extinguished.
And when the fire went out, we had probably less than 7 minutes of foam supply left. That's not the first time we've got it with the last little bit of foam or the last whisper of dry chemical.
We did it. Was there, and you wish that everybody that you're associated with in your close circles in this industry could have been there with you to experience it, to enjoy it, to see what was done.
There was a lot of people that said we couldn't. And when we done it, just some serious bragging rights. because nobody had ever done it before.
There's something about